Okay, welcome to our fundraising and hybrid event session here at the Cerini Associates nonprofit update. I'm Darren Port from Powered by Professionals. I'm the founder of Powered by Professionals, CEO, and we are a fundraising and event management firm that was started back in 2001. And we work exclusively with nonprofit organizations and helping them with fundraising, strategic fundraising, event fundraising, board development, as well as all types of event logistics from venue identification all the way through script writing. So everything to do with an event, and that's every type of event, from a gala to a run walk to a concert, but exclusively with nonprofits. And the last piece of our business is about like the back office support and technology, making sure you're implementing and integrating technology into your sessions. So let's do this. Let's walk through it. I can't tell how many people are on or if everyone's on at this point, but we're going to get started. What we're going to talk about today is transforming your in-person event into a hybrid event. It's been a crazy 15 months or 16 months, whatever we're up to at this point. And we've all been through it, and we've all learned a ton in the process. Powered by Professionals, we've had the experience of getting to learn what a virtual event looks like, every component of a virtual event, and then we got to produce over 30 or 35 virtual events over the last 9 months. So it's been an amazing experience for myself and my team, and we're going to just share some of those learnings with you. I think one thing that's really important when you're looking to do your events is really to understand, what are the goals? What are you trying to achieve with the event? And that's a big piece of this. So when I walk through all the different things you could do, we really all have to come back to what are the 3 or 4 goals that you're trying to achieve with the event. Is it tied to fundraising? Is it around engagement? Is it your mission? Those components are what we have to figure out. All these different tools and technologies and decisions we make have to tie back to those goals. So let's jump in. Pros of an in-person event. So we all know it's been a while, but maybe you remember in-person socializing, enjoying the atmosphere, eating great food, having a number of cocktails. Maybe there's a live entertainment. Maybe there's a comedian or a musician. So that we all miss that. Connecting to the cause, feeling like you're a little more connected because you're at a venue and you feel more involved. Including a successful live appeal. Live appeals tend to be a little more exciting when you have other people in the room who are putting their hands up, and there's energy and there's noise. Having the audience engage in a program. That, I think, the virtual component, we do a lot of that. And then building rapport with your donor base. So this is probably the key thing for the organizations, is you have an opportunity to talk to your donors, your supporters, get to know them, to cultivate them for future giving. And that's what a lot of people do events for in the first place, a chance to meet new donors and to further cultivate existing donors. So pros of a virtual event: expanding to a wider audience. We're getting the word out to more people by having it accessed without having to come to the city or come to this venue. You can just log in your own home. I remember watching virtual events while I was at my daughter's basketball game. So you can be doing other things while you're participating in a virtual event. You can lower the costs, definitely lower costs. And then creating reusable, recorded content for your post-event use. So this is really helpful, and something that I've seen some organizations do a great job with is taking that content that you use, those short videos, snippets you got from a celebrity or one of your board members or an individual who's dealing with what your mission is all about, if it's a health-related cause, and hearing their message, and then using that through social media and other channels. I also like, on the bottom, if you see this picture, there's a picture of a guy doing a toast. And what a great way to involve a number of different people to participate. That took about 2 hours to put together, barely. I think we sent an email out to their best friends. They all got a glass of wine, and they did a 10-second video, told them what to do. They sent it in, we put it together, and incorporated all these people so they felt like they were part of the event. What a great way to involve people in an event. Hybrid event. Okay. A hybrid event is more than just streaming an in-person event to an online audience. What we're going to do here is a true hybrid event seamlessly integrates technology, bringing your online audience into the event experience. And like a live attendee, an online attendee should have a number of opportunities and ways to participate in the event. So what we have to figure out, and what we're in the midst of doing as a company, because we're working on about 15 to 20 hybrid events this fall, is how do we make sure that we're addressing both the live attendee and the virtual attendee, and what components do each of them need? And this goes back to your 3 goals, whatever those may be. In our case, it's usually around fundraising, engagement, and then mission. Making sure that we're getting the mission out there. They really understand why they're involved. Engagement so that there's some interaction, either with people at the event or with the organization or with each other. And then the fundraising is pretty clear. We want to figure out different ways that we can leverage technology so people can raise money at the event and at home. So we'll talk more about this. The benefits of hybrid events. So it's going to allow us to increase our reach, like we talked about, in attendance. You may have a lower ticket price for people who are attending virtually. That might open the door to people who would normally not be able to attend your event. You're going to increase the engagement. There's different opportunities, like I briefly mentioned, and we'll mention throughout this presentation. Sometimes it's during the event and actually even post-event. And then there's the flexibility. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And what I've learned, I'd say, one thing I've really learned over the last, year or so is that you don't have to make it that complicated. In the beginning, when everyone was doing virtual events, they were trying to do everything. Oh, we're going to have food delivered and we're going to have this going on. All these amazing things happening. First, it costs a fortune. Second, is it necessary? And third, is that what your audience really is looking for? And I think that's when you got to go back to those 3 goals. What are they really? They're there to support your event. They're not there for the food. They're not there for those other things. They're there to be there to help the organization grow and or to fulfill the mission. So keep that in mind when you're doing this, and also make sure you're working within a budget. Examples of what a hybrid event could look like. A traditional in-person event with an online component where at-home guests can view the program, chat with other online attendees, and participate in the silent auction and live appeal. That seems like the most traditional and simple model, right? So there'll be people at the venue who will be going to the normal event, and then the people at home will have a few opportunities to participate in the event, and it'll be much shorter for the virtual attendees. Offering virtual tables is another way to enhance that virtual experience, so that a group can go into the virtual table room where they can see their friends. Some of their friends actually might be at the event and they'll be on their phones, and others may be just at home as well. Incorporating vendors. We've done this with photo booths for the virtual events. What's really nice is I think it'll mix nicely with the new live hybrid virtual component. And the photo booth, you can do it all on your phone. So people, instead of having an actual photo booth at the event, at the live event, you can just have it virtually, where people can take pictures of themselves at the live event, and people at home can do it as well. And then you can share those pictures and people can see them, and you can share them actually at the live event on a screen for people to see. Small dinner parties. We talked about this a lot in the fall and even in the spring. There were people doing these. Some of them were, as COVID was up and down, it affected how well we were able to do this. But definitely the dinner parties will be bigger this year. More people are into it. There are ways to incorporate either a live feed from the dinner party or a pre-recorded message from different dinner parties that are going on for people who were not able to attend your live event. So I really think that piece is a great piece to incorporate in your hybrid event. And they can also then watch some of the virtual program, which will be short, and they can have fun with each other live at their home. So another way to do it. And that's also another good way to fundraise. So small dinner parties enable that donor to really leverage the people in their network for additional gifts. You can get creative with that by having matching situations set up with that individual who's hosting, or if there's a guest they have that has the ability to match, maybe talk to them about making a gift and then encouraging everyone who attended to try to match it. So there really are a lot of opportunities and different possibilities to consider. Just so you know, we're going to take questions. You can put questions into the chat. I will do the questions at the end. I did also want to mention that there'll be a lounge that you can come in, and I'll be happy to chat. I think it's like a Zoom lounge that is going to be going on at 1 p.m. or 1:05. 1 p.m. I think Ken is going to thank everybody, and then we're going to be there's a few lounges set up for the speakers. So I'm going to be around at 1:05 to answer questions as well. But we will get to questions at the end. Key elements of a hybrid event. Technology. Identify the best technical solutions for hosting your hybrid event. So now there are different tech platforms, and if you did a virtual event, you used one of them. We're going to get to that in a minute. I'll show you some of the different options that are out there. Engagement and planning, making your event engaging, fun for your attendees, both in person and online. So we want it to be fun, but we do not want it to cost an arm and a leg. So we got to be smart on what that means and how important it is. There are ways to do that in a cost-effective way. Fundraising, how to get your ask just right, be sensitive to the current climate, integrate your fundraising ask before, during, and after the event. And that's really leveraging social media, communicating, and also understanding your audience. I think is a big piece, which we haven't talked about yet, but we'll talk about it a little bit. It's making sure you understand the attendees who normally attend your event and who support your organization. And then the cost is, things you got to consider is how much is this going to cost? Now I'm doing a live event and a virtual event. Is this going to cost twice as much? Well, it shouldn't. So we have to figure out how to make that, the cost not become a problem. Technology. So let's talk about this. There are a number of different platforms out there. There is not one that's, they all have different features that people like, and it depends on what your audience is, how sophisticated your audience is, what bells and whistles you're looking for, what your budget is. So these are some of the ones that we've worked with over the last year, and some of them we've worked with more than others. Currently, we're on Excel Events. I know they've done a ton of virtual events for nonprofits. My company works a lot with Cadence. We've done a number of events for them. And One Cause and GiveSmart are very active as well. So, and then, streaming the events. We've used Vimeo. We invested in their highest level program and decided to really embrace that. So we've streamed all of our events using Vimeo, even through some of these other platforms. And that really enabled us to have very high quality events. Customized look and feel, that's important to some, not as important to others, but some of these platforms allow you to do that. Cross-platform capabilities, interactive features like a live feed, a chat function, digital tables. There's networking opportunities like Excel Events. I think there was that networking before, and there's networking after this. Ability to incorporate sponsorship and branding. Some of them have a registration process. Some of them do not have a registration process. So understanding that, streaming video and recording capabilities, and technical support availability are all key things. I think very important in a hybrid event is understanding what the chat and live feed tools are like. That's going to be an important feature. And then what kind of breakout rooms do they have so that the people who are participating virtually feel that they're involved and they have their own experience. And they're not just watching an event going on. Then there's a lot of apps that are tied to those platforms. Some of them have apps, some of them don't. Some are more sophisticated than others. So you want to make sure that, I think, especially for a hybrid event, that the tech platform that you identify has a great app that we can also have the attendees at the event using. So the idea would be everyone to be on the app so that they can communicate and there can be some interaction between the virtual guests and the live guests. And provides an easy way to follow along the evening schedule and receive event notifications, which is great because we want to be able to communicate with our guests through their mobile device. So we highly recommend that, making sure the platform has that capability. Again, Cadence has been one that we've had a lot of success with. I think Excel Events does that as well. Auction platforms. This has been going on a while. So if you think about it, we've been doing virtual auctions. We've been leveraging technology in the auction space for about 5 years now. And you may, I assume most of you have had that experience. Some of you may have kept your events without that technology for whatever reason. Either your event was a cocktail party, reception, that it didn't make as much sense for people to be on their phones. It's harder to hold your drink and bid. If you're at a table at a sit-down event, it was a nice way for people to see the auction, even though they weren't walking over there because of the program. Well, now, it's perfect, especially for the virtual guests, so they can feel completely involved, having the same access as everybody else, and they can bid from anywhere.
Now than maybe did before. So I think you have to make sure that it's a mobile-friendly tool that you're using on an auction
platform. And I love the fact that they send out text messages and notifications to their guests as you get outbid or as we're getting close to closing. You may want to keep your auction open a little bit longer, either before the event, a couple of days you launch it to get the word out, get some buzz going. And you may want to leave it open until the following day or that later that evening. So all those things are on the table. All right. And some more on the technology. So the program video and streaming. In addition to picking a tech platform, you'll need to figure out how you would like to stream the event program. I mentioned Vimeo has been a tool that we've really leveraged at Powered by Professionals, and it has been extremely helpful to us. There are other solutions out there as well. You want to decide, are you going to live stream this whole program from your live event? I don't think I recommend that. We're looking at a lot of different situations this fall. So we're in the midst of planning that right now. I think there may be components of the event you want to live stream, and then the video recordings that you can pre-record and show at the event, you would stream those separately. You wouldn't be showing the video screen at the event. It's a little more technical, but you would be streaming that directly to the virtual guests, not streaming it through the event, not through the live event, any pre-recorded content that you've created. How will you record any videos from honorees or other event participants? I think more video recordings is a good thing. I think people are okay with that. It keeps things a little shorter, more compact. You can work on, if you don't like the way it came out, it can be edited. We use a tool called Riverside, which is a podcast tool, which enables us to record different people from their computer and help them. We've done that with individuals with disabilities, and we've done it with other honorees as well. Sometimes we've recorded, all the board members have recorded short messages, part of a message they wanted to get across from the organization, which is really cool because the board members felt involved, connected, and invested in what you were doing as an organization. And then they're also going to pay more attention if they're in the video. How you switch from the pre-record to live content at the venue, as well as your live stream. As I mentioned, you have to have a separate person. You're going to need multiple people doing this. So it depends which platforms you're using, and you have to understand what the AV capabilities are at the venue. Some of this is a little too complicated for this webinar, but happy to talk further about it and explain how it works offline. How many cameras do you need for the different components that you're going to incorporate? Logistics and attendee experience. So leading up to the event, you're going to want to make sure that you're going to be using e-blasts, pre-event emails with clear instructions. So I think during the virtual experience we've just went through, we really learned how to lay it out for people so they know kind of the next steps to take. I think to give people the different options is going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take potentially a little more outreach from the organization. Some of it can be done electronically, and some of it may be done, via phone. Making sure certain pockets of people really understand all the different ways they can participate in the event. You want to make sure you have tech support in place for each of the components of the event, and you also want to you want to consider different event opportunities. So clearly highlighting the sponsorship opportunities, the networking opportunities associated with the event, include various ticket packages that are available. We've been going back and forth with what's the right ticket price for the event, and if you're virtual or as opposed to live. And actually, I spoke at a conference yesterday, and we were talking about like a third of the price has been what we're seeing right now. That's about what people are charging for the virtual component of the live event. But again, it does cross that covers the gamut. I know a lot of people did virtual events for free, and we're hoping for people to make donations back in the fall and in the early spring. I recommend charging for a ticket. I think it's just understanding your audience. It's very important that you understand who your attendees are, who your supporters are, really what their motivation is, and what the right price point is for your guests to participate. And I think the virtual component, you're looking for people to at least be a part of it, right? To stay involved, stay connected, and it's finding a right price for those individuals. And the people who have the ability to give much more will give much more anyway, because they'll almost feel guilty not being there, and I think they'll participate at a high level. And then even approaching them directly and saying, listen, I know you can't be here in person, but we'd really love to have you involved in this part of our event where we're asking people for this amount of money, is another way to go about it. So it's really understanding the audience. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Growing the momentum. So outline the run of show for the evening so guests can, view the exciting event elements and plan accordingly. Incorporate social media before the event and to gain traction during the event and then after the event. Helping participants to fundraise, send out personal emails, set up team pages for those peer-to-peer events that you're doing. We are seeing that also. We are seeing peer-to-peer events that have virtual components. What's really nice is if you do your event in 3 cities and you have supporters all around the country or all around the East Coast or wherever it may be, or in Connecticut, like we have an event in Connecticut. So the chance that people can participate from other parts of the state because they're 2 hours away from that event. They're not going to come to the event, but they can participate and have their own mini walk or whatever it may be. Set up things that allow people to get involved and participate. The hybrid sponsorship packages, there are a lot of different things. It's really incorporating the virtual package you had and the live package. You want to make sure you have virtual tables listed, and you want to offer that to the people who are buying any of the sponsorship levels in case they decide to have some guests virtually. You may want to have pre-recorded video messages just like we did in the virtual events. I don't think I have that listed here, but that's something I would consider, that if you give over a certain amount, you can do a short, almost like a commercial about your support of the organization, the sponsor support of the organization. So there's a lot of different ways to co-brand, the sponsors, make them feel connected, leverage the technology by leveraging the email blast and the social media, and get the sponsors additional coverage. They're probably going to get more exposure than they ever got before in a hybrid concept. Logistics and attendee experience. So there's one event, 2 experiences, right? So it's, remember, a hybrid event is one event. So we want to make sure that to link everyone who's coming out for the same important cause together on this special evening. So incorporate the live event into the virtual event. What does that mean? How will your in-person program translate to a virtual setting? So that's determining what components are going to be potentially live streamed, or what components are going to be. We've even talked about pre-recording on almost like on the rehearsal. You can record the honoree speaking, and it's not the actual live event, but it's at the live venue, and it's maybe at 4:00 that day, and taking that recording and streaming that through your virtual component, and not streaming the actual event. So it depends on what your capabilities are at the venue, depends on what the cost is to do it. So there's a lot of pieces of this, but that's one way. But also how your in-person program translates to virtual is the auction is going to be online in theory. If you have a silent auction, your live appeal, people can participate potentially through a chat function, where we could potentially stream a chat onto one of the screens as your live appeal, live auctioneer is asking for support, or people can chat in the amount they want to give. That would be very cool. Everyone can do that too, because if it's through the virtual, the event technology you're using, the platform you're using, then everyone at the venue would be able to participate as well. And we talked about the pre-recorded portions, and then you can live stream those through the pre-recorded, which is a little different. It's easier for people to see. It'll be less complicated from the venue side. Incorporate the virtual event into the live event. This is not the same as above. So maybe the first time your charity's in-person event will be broadcast to a much larger audience. So how can you connect, how you connect from home and feel connected to the event. And we talked about a lot of the different ways that you can do that already. Okay. The photo booth, I think I spoke about this briefly. A photo booth is a great way to customize your event so both in-person and online attendees can participate. As you see in the picture here, you have a, right on the phone, you can take a quick pic. You can do that at the venue. You can do that at home. You can put cool branding around the picture, as you see on the right. And then you can also, you can do I just blanked on the word. Blanked on the word. Okay. Collage of all the pictures that individuals can, see here. You can put your logo, and then if you look carefully, there's hundreds of pictures of different people from the event, and you can zoom in on those pictures. That can be sent out after the event as a post-event thing. You can leverage social media with your picture that you took at the event, and share with others. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I think the virtual photo booth, I think is going to come into play a lot in these hybrid events. Text to give and live appeal. We've been doing it on the virtual. I think we'll continue to do it. I think it'll be in the hybrid space. Incorporate text to give campaign in your event through notifications. We've always been putting it on the bottom, so you can see the MC will remind people that you can text. Don't forget to text the gala to 5588 throughout the evening to make a donation. And be sure to let donors know the impact of their gifts. And that may be your MC or maybe your live auctioneer, depending on what you have at your event. Include a thermometer so people can see the money raised. You may not want to have this up all the time, but you may have it up for a few minutes. You may want to pre-plant gifts. You can have those planted and you can push those out from the AV booth or wherever you are. But there's a lot of different ways to incorporate this, and I strongly recommend it, especially with the hybrid model, where this will be very effective. And it gives everyone a chance to participate. We want to come up with ways that both the live and the virtual component are both participating. So this is one of them. Okay, auction and raffle. Interactive element, your hybrid event. We talked about this already as well, that the auction can go beyond the event timeframe and the audience opening up to more participants and growing the revenue. Start the auction early, end it late, allow more people to participate. And then if they all signed up, you are actually communicating with them throughout the night through their phones, which is really what you're trying to get to, and building that relationship through their mobile device. Consider adding an opt-in raffle. If you want to go there, registrants can opt in. Can opt into the raffle when signing up for the event. Be sure to check. There are a lot of rules around raffles with different states, so make sure you understand that before doing something like that, and that you're complying with the state regulations. And then, like GiveSmart and OneCause are two platforms we've used and used successfully on many events. The cost. So there's budget for something like this. It really is such a dramatic range, but these are some of the things to consider when thinking about what it's going to cost. Is the venue, the food, the drink, the service, between the catering, the actual venue, and all the service that evening. The audio visual, that can really get out of control. So really understanding what they're giving you, what can you do yourself, what ways can you do it in a more cost-effective way, the decor, displays, signage. Vendors, it's up to you on what you want to bring in. The type of platforms, there are definitely a range in the cost of the platforms. There are less expensive options, and you can definitely get a lot out of those. So just make sure you do your homework. The auction platforms are all within a certain range, so you're pretty safe there. Engagement activities, this is if you decide, this is on like top of like music, or if you want to have, there are different engagement tools that you could potentially use. And then additional video would be like if you use a professional videographer to do some of the pre-recording and or some of the streaming that night, you might need additional videographer at the venue. And then optional food and beverage option, as well. If you were actually sending food to people at home virtually, I don't think that comes into play in most cases, but it is still on the table and should be considered. Or if you're sending like a basket to someone hosting one of these watch parties, we're calling them, I think that's something to consider, especially if you have a few board members that are just not comfortable attending, but they're really willing to do a nice watch party and they're really into it. It's like, support them in that initiative, because that could generate a lot of money for the organization. Thoughts for consideration, ways to customize your overall event. You want to continue to brand the event. Make sure you're always branding. Lessons learned from the last 15 months. Don't try to do too much. People want to support your organization already. Some of this is not on the screen. But we've seen when you try to do too much technology, you run into problems. Keep guests engaged. Keep it short. Know your audience. Ask the right questions so that you come back to you give them what they're looking for. Do some pre-recorded messages. Save yourself time. Save yourself headache, and keep the program tighter. And consider the 3 goals. What are your 3 goals for the overall event? And I'm going to repeat it again. The fundraising for us, engagement, mission, messaging, making sure you're checking those boxes by the different decisions you're making. We're happy to talk one-on-one, but we're going to take some questions now, but happy to do a call with anybody if they have questions that they'd like to ask. But let's go see if there are any questions that we can answer. I'm sorry. Okay, what's an app for the thermometer? An app. The thermometer usually is tied into a number of the auction platforms, as well as some of the event tech platforms as well. So there's not a specific app for the thermometer. I'm sure there are apps for the thermometer, but the ones we use have been tied to the different auction platforms that we've incorporated into the events that we've done. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, like I said, we will have a lounge set up at 1:00, so you can come in if you have questions then. You want to talk about your specific event and ask, that would be fun as well. But the only thing I would stress again is that sometimes less is more. Don't overdo it, and make it easy for your attendees to participate. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do here. Keep them engaged, and the more you can get their mobile device involved, the more you're going to connect with them over the long term. So thanks for attending today, and good luck to everybody. Take care. Have a great day.